if I'll grow a magical tree, I'll grow a tree that gives me designer shoes, because I'll be able to certify myself and also donate to the needy. My favorite food is pilau because it's unique and not everybody can cook it. I would like to become a farmer because I will earn money and I will be able to help the society.
Welcome to our beautiful school. This is Watoto Shambani.
Yay! Today we're learning about PawPaw planting.
Welcome to my farm. My name is Humphrey, Manyasa. I'll be taking you through PawPaw farming, and I'm ready to answer any question that you raise. PawPaw, also known as papaya, originated from Mexico, Latin America. Welcome.
Excuse me, Teacher Humphrey. I have a question. What is the optimal climate for growing pawpaws?
Very good question. The optimal climate of growing PawPaw is 25 to 30 degrees. That is maximum to 16 degrees minimum.
Thank you, Teacher Humphrey. I have another question. What is the best soil for growing pawpaw trees?
As you can see around, this soil is a mixture of different varieties. You can spot even some sand deposits as well as loam. What you just have to put in consideration is the soil should be of good drainage, well fertile soil, and the pH should be between 5.5 to 7.
Thank you, Teacher Humphrey.
Hello, Teacher Humphrey. I have a question to ask you. How deep should the hole be for a pawpaw tree?
That's a good question. First of all, what you have to put in mind is when planting PawPaw, you have to raise the seedlings first. You get the seeds, plant them. So when you're planting the seeds, you should put in mind that they are very tiny. Therefore, you should plant in the depth of 15 centimeters. And once you have raised your seedlings, the young plants, when you are transferring them to the farm, they should be planted at a depth of 60 centimeters.
Thank you, Teacher Humphrey.
Hello, Expert Humphrey. I have a question for you. What is the recommended spacing for pawpaw plants?
As you can see in my farm, all the way from the other end up to here, the PawPaw plants that are in between. So from that point where you can see clearly this PawPaw plant to this one is approximately 3 meters apart. These are mature PawPaw plants.
Thank you.
Hello, Teacher Humphrey. I have a question for you. How much sunlight do pawpaw trees require?
First of all, you have to know that PawPaw does not do well in frost. Therefore, when it comes to sunshine, it's a very sensitive thing. When you're planting PawPaw, you have to ensure that it gets full sunshine.
Thank you.
Therefore, it does well in a full set sunshine.
Thank you. I have another question. What are some common pests and diseases that affect pawpaw trees?
First of all, PawPaw, just like other plants, is not exempted from attacks by pests, parasites, and diseases. These pests, when they attack the PawPaw plant, they cause various diseases. Some go to the extreme of causing losses to the farmer. So some of the pests that attack PawPaw plant include aphids, mealybugs, and fruit fly. You have to know that fruit fly lays eggs on the fruits. Thus, when it deposits those eggs, they multiply and they cause damage on the fruit. And when it comes to diseases that attack pawpaw, let me just illustrate to you. If you look at this pawpaw, you can see that it has some spots. These are signs it has been attacked or exposed to diseases. We have various diseases, but I'll just mention a few. The most dangerous disease that is very contagious, meaning it can spread easily to other pawpaws here. You can see this one where it was affecting this one also.
Hi, Teacher Humphrey.
Yes, Stacy?
I have a question. How often should pawpaw trees be watered?
Right. Stacy, on my farm right now, these pawpaw trees I'm having, they are mature, which are reproducing the fruits. But you have to know that pawpaw needs at least 1 inch of rainfall per week. So what you have to put in consideration is to monitor the weather. If it is in arid and semi-arid area, you can use irrigation. And in this case, you can apply hose in your farm, especially when the weather is not favorable. You use hose and you leave it to trickle so that it can soak the soil. You can also use buckets to water the crops or these plants with other things that you can use that will be available at the moment.
I have another question. When is the best time for planting pawpaw seeds and saplings?
As I said earlier, the most important thing you have to monitor is the weather patterns. Pawpaw is frost to cold climate. Does not require extreme coldness, especially the mature plant. So if you are planting pawpaw, you raise it from the young plant. Young plants also, you have to know that they are sensitive to extreme sunlight. So you have to be very careful and monitor the patterns. So the best time to plant pawpaw is during rainy season, when we have adequate rainfall.
Hello, Teacher Humphrey.
Yes, Abdi.
I have a question to ask you. How long does it usually take for pawpaw trees to start producing fruits?
On the issue of fruiting on a pawpaw plant, it depends with the region you have planted your pawpaw. Not all regions receive the same amount of sunlight, and also there are some regions which are extremely cold or they experience some cold season. So in the cold areas, pawpaw will take about 6 months to start producing fruits. And if the weather is okay, that is in hot areas, since pawpaw does well in tropical region, it will take in cold areas it will take 11 months. And in the tropic regions, it will take approximately 6 months. So it will depend on the weather patterns where you are planting. Is it in cold regions or tropic regions? That is it.
Hello, experts Humphrey.
Yes.
I have a question. How do you pollinate pawpaw trees?
On issue of pollinating pawpaw trees, you see when these pawpaws start to flower, the flowers normally have the female reproductive, that is the pistil, and also the male reproductive, in short, stamen. So what you have to know is to be sensitive on the flowers, such that mostly what you have to do is to do cross-pollination and this one is encouraged to do what we call hand pollination. How does hand pollination occur? This one, you will identify the male reproductive parts on a flower, then you tie it on the female reproductive part for some time. You use a bag to tie it for some time to allow pollination to occur. That is what we call hand pollination. Though there are some insects like beetles and some variety of flies that also help farmers on the pollination process, that is cross-pollination.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Humphrey.
Yes.
I have a few questions for you. Firstly, are pawpaw trees self-pollinating or do they require cross-pollination?
That's a good question. Let me just get back to the previous question that has been answered. This pawpaw plant, it is encouraged. The best one is the cross-pollination. So it is cross-pollinated. In this case, cross-pollination does not mean that you have to, the pollen grains should be transferred from the other plant to this plant, not alone. On the same pawpaw plant, it has both female and male reproductive parts on the same plant. So those flowers with the male reproductive parts will just do cross-pollination to the other part. So cross-pollination is the ideal.
Lastly, how do you know pawpaw fruits are ready and ripe for harvesting?
Look at this pawpaw that I'm holding. If you look at it keenly, which color can you see? You can see green. What else? What else? Yellowish or brownish, isn't it? So once you have to check the color. When it turns from green to yellowish or brownish, that is a sign of ripening. Also, the skin, this peel, when you touch it, it feels smooth. And finally, the sweet scent indicates that the pawpaw is ripe.
Thank you.
Hi, Teacher Humphrey.
Yes,
I have a question for you.
go on.
What are some signs of nutrient deficiencies in a pawpaw tree?
Some signs of the nutrient deficiency in the pawpaw tree include discoloration of leaves, spots on leaf, the punctured leaves. Then, if it is a fruit and you cut it, you find there are less seeds or when you cut this fruit and you find inside there are few seeds or less seeds, and some seeds are not in good shape, it also shows sign of maldeficiency of nutrients. And to curb this, you use organic manure or organic fertilizer to supplement the nutrients.
Hi, Teacher Humphrey.
Yes.
I have a question for you. Can pawpaw trees be grown in containers?
Yes, pawpaw trees can be grown in containers. Though you can, those that can do well are the dwarf ones. And also you have to check on the variety that does not grow tall. The container should be of good drainage. As you fill soil, then after planting, you can apply some grass as mulch.
Thank you for your response.
Welcome.
Hello, Expert Humphrey.
Yes.
I have one question for you. Are there any special considerations when growing pawpaw trees in colder climates?
Yes, you have to be very vigilant when growing pawpaw in cold areas. As I said earlier, pawpaw does well in tropic areas, that is hot and wet regions. So some of the consideration that you can put in place, this pawpaw stem is succulent and spongy fibrous. So when the temperatures are low, below 15 degrees, you can cover it with some specially improved blanket-like material to moderate the temperature.
Thank you for your response.
Thank you, kids, for all the questions that you had for today. Next time when you come, we shall discuss more. But at the moment, after break, I'll take you through my farm and see how to plant the pawpaw plants, right? Welcome kids from the break. As I told you earlier that we shall plant a pawpaw plant. So I'll take you procedurally on how to plant a pawpaw plant. Number one, there are tools and equipment that we shall use to prepare the hole for planting. This is the djembe that we'll use to dig the hole. This is a shovel. You can also use a spade, a shovel or a spade that you'll use to scoop the soil, right? Then we have a jerry can of water. This one we will water the young plant that we are going to plant. I'll tell you more about watering of that plant later when we are planting it. Then we have the manure from the farm. This one was collected from the droppings of the poultry birds in the farm from this site. So this is the manure we shall use. So I'll guide you on how to prepare the hole. Remember, when you are learning during the session before break, I mentioned just slightly about the preparation of planting a pawpaw plant. So this pawpaw plant that we'll plant is a seedling. This seedling was prepared from the seed bed, right? And it is advisable that when you plant the seedling, you plant the pawpaw fruit as a wall. Then those seeds, you don't have to dry them. You just plant them the way they are. Don't dry the seeds when preparing the seedlings in the seed bed, right? So let me just guide you on how to prepare the planting hole. So we shall dig deep here. Then when this lump of soil accumulates too much, you can use this shovel just to scoop so that you get the right place to plant. So Derek, you'll also help us to dig the hole. So this is digging the top soil. This top soil is the one that has much nutrients for the growth of this seedling, right? So this top soil, we shall also mix it with this farmyard manure, and you don't have to dig too much. 60 centimeters can give Anela to dig also. Anela, help Derek. Anela, add more effort. Anela. Nathan. Ogoja jahazi hapo. At this side. Yeah, that end. Yes, you can now scoop this. Scoop this soil. Okay, fine. Bring this yambe and this shop. So this is the required depth that is needed for the growing of pawpaw seedling. So we shall add some farmyard manure, just a little bit of farmyard manure. Yes. Fine. This soil, as you can see, it is not waterlogged. It is well-drained, fertile soil. You can see when the color it is dark, meaning that the soil is fertile. As I said earlier, you can plant in areas that you have adequate rainfall or in arid and semi-arid, right? Reason, pawpaw plants do well in tropic regions, that is hot and wet areas. You don't have to expose them to too much coldness. Now, when planting a pawpaw plant, this seedling, when you are planting it, you have to ensure that the roots are attached to the lump of soil. These roots are attached to the lump of soil. So when you are moving it, you have to be very careful. You ensure that the roots are attached to the lump of soil. Then we don't plant with this one because it will hinder the penetration of the roots to the soil. You have to be very careful. This is plastic, right? So these roots, when they are developing, they can't reach the soil because they'll be blocked by the plastic. And then this one, this lump of soil is attached to the roots. And reason is to ensure that you don't interfere with the rooting system. Are you getting? So another step that we shall do, as you can see, this lump of soil is a bit wet. It's a bit wet. So we shall also mix this soil we have prepared with manure. We shall mix some water. Why do we have to mix this manure with water? Reason, this soil is wet. So we have to subject this seedling to the same condition that it were in the previous seed bed. Out together. So we plant, shall make a hole here. Nathan, plant for us here. This side. So, then you have to be very careful. You cover the soil to the level of the previous height. So you have covered a bit too much here. You have to cover it the same level it was in the garden before transplanting. Then you add some soil, lump of soil around it to make it more firm. Then after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you'll add some manure to enrich the nutrients. Are we together? Okay, so far, any question concerning the growing of pawpaw? Are you okay? There being no question, I hope you have learned something today, and it's my hope and wish that you emulate the same in your farms at home. Have a good day.